Hi everyone, welcome to part 2. Okay, Nakamura has just played bishop d3. And Van Wely continued with h5, which is a blunder by all accounts. In Nakamura's opinion, white is now winning by force. Fritz recommended instead rook b6, just holding on to the rook so it's not going to be taken by the knight on the next move. However, Nakamura also commented on this line, saying that after knight takes e5, bishop takes c5, and queen h5, it's very uncomfortable for black, as his king will be stuck in the center and he's forced to play dangerously weakening moves if he wants to hold on to the material. Queen h5 adds a second attacker to the bishop here on e5. And if black wants to hold on to the material here, he has to play g5. And now of course comes queen takes g5, and again forcing f6 in order to defend adequately. And here black has a big edge, but he'll have to be very careful, and the pressure's on him, but if he can consolidate his position, he should be okay. But it's looking very breezy there around the black king, and he's trapped in the center for now. Exchange sacks, etc., looking very strong. But anyway, what Van Wely did play was h5. Now came rook takes e5, which is a sharp sacrifice from Nakamura, which Fritz gives as only equal, again preferring knight takes b8. And after queen takes b8, bishop f5, with a good edge for white. And the point of Naka's sacrifice is that after rook takes e5 and bishop takes e5, there's rook e1, winning back the piece and resulting in equality overall, although white is the exchange down, which means he has much better attacking chances. And it's also setting a trap, because the normal looking f6 in order to hold on to the bishop fails dismally to rook takes e5 check, and now white has a winning advantage as black can't recapture the rook here with his pawn. If f takes e5, it's mate in 4 with bishop g6 check, and king d7 holds out the longest. But now queen f5 check forces king d6. Now queen takes e5 check gives black only one move, king d7, and now bishop f5 is mate. So rook e1 wins back the piece, and Van Wely continued with bishop g4, and Nakamura played queen f4, which is okay of course because the bishop is pinned. And now white has a decent edge in the position, and here Van Wely made the best move available to him and castled. Again, if he played f6 there to try and defend, he ends up losing a piece. So it's better to keep his pawn structure okay and lose a piece all the same, because now of course comes rook takes e5. And here Van Wely succumbed to the pressure immediately and played an inferior move with g6. Better was f5, and he should be able to defend okay. After knight e7 check, king h8, there are no direct threats. At worst, white has only a small edge. However, the game continuation gives white a close to winning advantage. And playing instead rook b e8 alternatively looks alright superficially, but now white is easily winning after rook takes e8, which wins the black queen on the next move, because if queen takes f4, it's mate in 2 with knight e7 check, king h8, and rook takes f8. So g6 anyway from Van Wely, and now queen f6, moving immediately into the weakened f6 square. And now the big threat is knight e7 check with a winning attack, and this forces the defensive move rook b e8. And here, unfortunately, Nakamura missed a strong continuation, although the route he chose is also winning. If you want to try and find the strongest move, then stop the video now. Rook g5 is the move, and now black is totally busted. The evaluation is at +5, with the biggest threat being bishop takes g6, followed up with a mating attack. The best defensive move is king h7, but now knight e5, intensifying the pressure on g6. And remarkably, black has to give up his queen in order to save his king, with queen takes e5, which will of course be losing after rook takes e5, rook takes e5, and queen takes e5. Sacking the rook instead doesn't work after knight e5. If rook takes e5, now it's mate m5 with bishop takes g6 check, f takes g6, queen takes g6 check, king h8, queen h6 check, queen h7, queen takes f8 check, forcing king or queen g8, and now queen takes g8 is mate. But as I said, Nakamura missed this line, but his choice is still easily winning. After rook b e8, he played knight e7 check, which forces rook takes e7. It's black's only defensive chance, and after rook takes e7, the material is equal, but white's position is far stronger. And Van Wely may as well take the loose pawn on h2 now to try and get some material compensation for his inferior position, and that's what he played with queen takes h2. But again now white has the very strong continuation, bishop takes g6, and we can see one of the advantages of having a rook on a 7th. It allows for sacrifices such as these, because of course now there's no f takes g6 because of queen g7, which is mate. So Van Wely continued with queen h1 check, and after king b2 he played queen takes d5. He's just doing a bit of pawn hunting, and he may as well, because there's little more he can do to defend. And again here Nakamura didn't play the strongest continuation, although once more his choice was still winning. If you want to try and find the best move, then stop the video now. Bishop takes f7 is what he did play, which, as I said, results in a winning position, but a lot stronger was bishop e4, and black is busted. The best square for his queen is d2, and Nakamura did say that he'd considered this line, but thought that after rook e5, threatening rook g5 and a mating attack, there was nothing after rook d8. And in his calculations he said he found no clear way to win quickly. However, here again there's a killer move, and if you want to try and spot it, then stop the video now. Bishop h7 check is the game decider. It forces king takes h7. If instead king f8 is the only other move, now queen h8 is mate. So king takes h7, now queen takes f7 check. King h8 is the only move that avoids mate. But now queen f6 check again forces king g8 to avoid mate, and now rook g5 check forces black to give up his queen to avoid mate on g7. So queen takes g5, queen takes g5 check, king f7, queen takes d8, and of course white wins easily. But anyway, back to the game continuation. Bishop takes f7 check, and now queen takes f7 is the only way to avoid mate. If instead rook takes f7, then rook e8 check, and rook f8. If king h7, then rook h8 is mate. So rook e8 check, rook f8, but now rook takes f8 check, king h7, and rook h8 is mate. So it has to be queen takes f7. So now comes rook takes f7, rook takes f7, and queen takes a6. And Van Wely could have easily resigned here. Having a rook and bishop against the queen isn't too bad in the end game, but what makes the difference is these kingside pawns that Nakamura has, and the difficulty black will have in defending his pawn at b5, which is more or less impossible. Van Wely continued with king g7. If instead rook f5 to defend b5, now c4, b takes c4, queen takes c4 check, king f8, and these passed pawns will be decisive. So king g7, and now queen takes b5, and Nakamura must have been waiting for the resignation, but Van Wely played on for a few more moves. As follows. It's just, hopeless for black. He's just going to be worn down. And after queen b3, Van Wely finally resigned. A sample continuation goes rook f5 and b7, and black has to give up his bishop to save the b pawn. Queen takes b7, and it will be over before long. So it was a great game from Nakamura, despite the stronger continuations that he missed, which are a part of just about every game anyway. Ivan Sokolov awarded the €500 prize for best game of the round, and commented that Nakamura's idea of playing a3 and b4 in the opening, followed up with a piece sacrifice, could become a very strong line for white in the Sicilian. So Nakamura is now tied for second place with Magnus Carlsen on 1.5 out of 2, behind Shirov with 2 out of 2, as I mentioned. And play continues at 12:30 on Monday. So I hope you enjoyed this game. Please leave any comments or thoughts. Thanks very much.